Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you may be, or good evening or good night. This is Jen at JensArtyInclinations, a place to create, share and play.
Hello. All right, well, I was going through my tracing paper and I had some coffee dyed tracing paper. So it sort of inspired me to do a little bit of, tracing. So I had some normal as well, so you can see the difference. But sometimes it's just handy to do some tracings because it kind of gets your hand used to how the shape of something works. And then I could transfer them into my little sketchbook, and then I actually simplified some of the shapes. So I thought I'd show this process because a lot of times, tracing is seen as a cheater's way to draw, but it can actually help your hand understand what the shape of something is. And I really encourage you to, give it a go. So you can see these are all very, very rough. They really are me practicing. My sketchbook is something that I use to do beautiful things, but also just to practice and go through things. So this is one of the books that I used, and I just looked for some shapes that I really liked. So see, here's the head of an eagle, a bald-headed eagle, I believe. And here are some little budgies. So I did that one on the end, and then I did the other two because they were different angles. And it sort of made me realise that the budgie is kind of a big long shape for the body, and then you're just adding the little beaks. So yeah, I had lots of fun. I did some flowers, and then I was looking at these and I went, wow, on this, I like the coffee dyed, you might like the white. But I thought, wow, on these papers, they look really cool. But tracing a photograph can really show you in a much more accurate way the shape of a bird. So on the right was a little budgie I tried to draw freehand, but then when I actually traced over the budgies themselves, it gave me a better idea of the shape of the bird. So here's one that I was really surprised. It kind of showed me a really stylised version of this gorgeous little parrot. And so see how on the right there, it had a little wing separately, and then it did that little shape, and it just gave me a really simple way to do the tail. So that was literally just doing a straight copy across. So you can see all of those came from just tracing that bird shape. So I wanted to share this, and I thought this would be a great one for our next JJ Weekly-ish challenge. So here I'm just showing you again, I'm just tracing that shape that I kind of learnt that bird sits on that angle. So do the little wing, and then tracing around the little head, and the beak was a little funny shape. So just like a little funny triangle. Then there was a little bit for like his chin, I guess you'd call it, and then straight into the body. So doing the nice easy tail, and then the bottom of the body kind of follows up around the bottom of that wing shape. So you can try and replicate, just that shape for yourselves, obviously. But, whatever you're thinking, I'd like to draw that. It might be mushrooms. It might be mountain ranges. It can be all sorts of things. Grab a piece of tracing paper, trace it. Actually have a look at the simplified lines, and then you'll understand a lot better in 2D form what those shapes are. Because sometimes it's hard to look at a picture that's of something 3D and to actually turn it into something 2D. So, look, all I'm doing here is just stylized drawings. But obviously, if you want to go into more complex drawings, more complex paintings, this is a good way to help you just separate out some of those ideas as well. So I went back to the original one here because obviously my little birds were getting shorter and fatter. And so I did a nice big one as well. And here, even just understanding how the little birdie eye works, that was really helpful. And I, went back to a bit more of a hooked beak in this larger one. So yeah, it's really simple. It's really fun. And this is what I meant in my last video by anyone can draw. And there is a place for tracing, because when we're kids, we're often told, oh, no, you can't trace, you have to do it on your own. But there is a place for tracing because it teaches you a lot about different shapes, about how different elements work together. So that's why I decided to show you this today. Here I'm just adding a little bit of detail to the bottom of the wings. You know, if you're holding your page down with one hand, then there's no trouble. You can just lift and look underneath a little bit with the other hand, you know, lift the paper up. So this time I decided, because I had this lovely coffee dyed paper and I thought that those drawings looked so cute on it, that I decided I'd actually cut them out and make something with these little tracings. So that's what we're going to do next. Bit of fun, and again, something that you can use straight into a junk journal that you can hold in the pages, or next time you're doing up, you know, some little decorations for a pocket, maybe you trace an actual image, and that's what you use as your little feature piece. So got 3 little bits here. All I'm doing is I'm cutting out, you know, around the shapes. I'm kiss cutting so that I can still see the actual lines, of course, because otherwise I'd only get the shape if I cut out the lines. And yeah, these were lots of fun. So again, something new that I discovered just because I was playing. And I was playing to try and get some easy shapes. So see, they can sit on the corners of pages quite nicely and look like quite a nice little feature just to finish off a little journaling spot. Or of course, be a little feature piece on a page edge or a little cluster somewhere. So yeah, even just there on that lovely big open page, how cute. And all they are is just tracings on coffee dyed tracing paper. The nice thing is, because they're on tracing paper, you can make them face either way as well, which is another really handy thing. So you're getting some creative practice, you're having a go at drawing things that perhaps you wouldn't normally draw just by looking at some photographs in a book and grabbing a piece of tracing paper. It helps your hand get used to drawing, so it's a wonderful creative practice for us. Here I am using one of them just to make a little, what do you call it, like a little journal card pocket thing that I'm putting into a junk journal, you know, that I've got. So inking around the edge and then some fussing and faffing just to work out how it's going to sit all together. So I decided a bit of calico behind it. I did a little stamp that just said bird. Wasn't very original, I know, but I thought, look, it is a bird. I'll just stamp bird. So I did that. Didn't like it all together, so I separated off that little bottom bit and just tore it up a little bit, you know, frayed the edges, and then put it all down together. So I thought he looked really cute on that, and then it was a little extra pocket on the front. These were just the ends of some die cuts that I did for one of my Defemorembra things. They were from the paper dolls that I did. And I was going to do, you know, some backs on them at first like this to have little tuck spots behind. And, you know, I got sick and I really wasn't up to adding extra to it. So I just went simple, simple, simple. All right, so gluing it all together now. Making that front little one a pocket. He's got his little bird on it, just in case people don't know it's a bird. And then putting a little hole in the top, inking around that little hole with this little doodad that I've got, my little tiny dobber. They're quite handy, actually, those ones. And then, yeah, voila. All I did for little bits that I was tucking in behind them was I just used little offcuts of paper. So put some ribbon and some seam binding through the top. There were a couple of little offcuts of some coffee dyed paper for the front one, and for the back one I had done some stamp tests on a piece of paper, and so I used that to put in the back. So simple. Now I've got a little journaling card, and I've had a bit of arty play with my creative practice of doing some tracings. All right, so the last couple. This one I just used the little folded edge that I cut off as I was cutting out the birds from the actual coffee dyed tracing paper. And so made that into a little cluster, and that can go on the top or on a little page corner, anywhere. Quite handy, quite cute. And, just spreading out that glue. I'm using art glitter glue on these, and actually it did work out really well. I was really worried that you'd see the big glue globules, but as long as I spread it, it was fine. It was really good. So then on this one, I fussed and faffed quite a bit to try and work out, what I was going to put this birdie on what kind of background I was going to put him. And I thought I was going to do him as a big journal card. In the end, I really liked him on just a page. So I had been hole punching little circles out the side of this one, as you can see. Waste not, want not. I can use the rest of the page, of the book page, I should say, to put my little birdie on. So made sure that glue was nicely spread out, just really burnishing him down there. And then I cut just outside the edge. So just kiss cut again, just outside the edge of the actual tracing line that I had cut out before. And I love seeing the book page through him. So I am leaving him just like this. I ended up inking all the way around the edge just to give him a little bit of a finished touch there. And there are my 3 little pieces. So I've got a little journal card, I've got a little cluster that I can put on something, and he can go on a bookmark, or he could go on a page edge, he could go anywhere. So then I thought, well, I'm having fun. Remember how we played with our watercolours last time? Well, they're also great for colouring in, obviously, stamps when you stamp down images. So, of course, they're also perfect for this. So I decided that I would add some colour to the couple of birds that I did where I actually had a little bit of transparency on them, because then it will just lift the bird out off the background. So, look, I'm not fussing too much. I'm just using any kind of colour. I know that, see how much lighter they actually dry. So I knew that they would dry a lot lighter, so I could go a little bit heavy-handed with my watercolours if I needed to. And I just put a touch on the larger bird by using some of my ink stamps. So again, especially with your oxides, you can actually use them to also paint onto your images. So yeah, had a bit of fun with these, and just by starting out with a piece of tracing, it's amazing. You can take it in so many different directions, and I'd love to see your creativity. So please use the hashtag if you want to have a go yourself and share this. It's just a little bit of fun weekly-ish. See, he could even be a tuck spot on the side of the page. That's what I'm showing you there. So there are our 3 little pieces. Go forth and multiply. Have fun. Just use the hashtag JJWeekly-ish so that we can all share in the fun that you're having, because we love to see each other's creativity. I believe that's a terrific thing to inspire each other. And so there you go. Week 2, we did some tracing and some drawing. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you again next week. Take care.
I'd love it if you could leave me a comment below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed what you saw today. And of course, please subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you next time. And in the meantime, keep creating. Enjoy!